Hello, welcome. I'm Carrie, and you're here with Whimsy Stamps. And today I have a superhero Halloween card. So I couldn't resist using this great brick wall, like exploding brick wall stamp and die. It comes from the fairly new Forever Young stamp set. It came out a couple releases ago, I believe, and it does have a die set available that is very, very useful if you want to have that exploding bit in the center of your brick wall. So I do recommend some sets you can get away with just fussy cutting, but this is one I would definitely want to have the die set with it. So today we're going to make this a fun card. So I have made it a Halloween card, but it could easily be birthday, retirement, or really just anything that you would say have a super or happy super, and you could put just all kinds of things here. So this is a very dimensional card. I'll kind of hang it up. It's got let's see, 3 layers of foam tape. So it's a really fun dimensional design. So as far as a Halloween card, I wanted to share these. These are from last year, so this is not a new idea for me. When I raised 2 little boys, and one of a very common Halloween costume for us in this house were superheroes. So we had Marvel characters, we had Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and definitely ninjas and X-Men, and you name it. We probably had those costumes over the years. So when I see superheroes around Halloween time, I can't help but think of my little boys growing up. So today we're going to make this. So to begin, oh, let me show you the other sets that I'm using. I'm also, besides the Forever Young, or not Forever Young, the Super Young stamp and die, I'm also using the Happy Sayings, and I'm using a couple pieces of the comic paper. So this is really, there's so many of these papers that would work. I'm specifically using this one just to kind of pick up the colors that I wanted to use. But I had a hard time debating on which paper to use. So to begin, I'm going to go ahead and set this one aside, and I'm going to use a piece of red, just smooth cardstock, and I am going to use a stamping platform today. And I'm going to use some clear embossing powder. I'm just going to get that all opened up and ready. Put my foil in there, or my paper in there, and I am just going to go ahead and treat this with some anti-static powder. And we're going to stamp our brick wall. Yeah, there's really not an up or down per se, but down here it kind of looks like it's coming out this direction. Your rocks are kind of flying, so that made me think it was the bottom, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to move this out of the way. So I move this up. Make sure that's down in the corner. Alright, I'm going to just use some black ink, and I have re-inked this recently, so hopefully it's nice and juicy, and we'll be able to get a good impression to put our clear embossing powder on. So I will probably go ahead and stamp it twice, mostly just to make sure it's good and wet so that I have something for my embossing powder to stick to. Alright, that did pretty good. Sorry, that's a little above the frame here. Hold on, I'll get it back in the... There we go. So, got the embossing powder on there pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this black ink off of my stamp. I don't like to leave it sit for too long, or it will, you know, stain your stamps, but that's okay. Get all this put away and go ahead and very quickly we're going to heat emboss our brick wall. And I'm doing this together with you rather than having it done in advance for a reason. So let me go ahead and melt this real quickly. There it goes. I really like this brick wall being embossed rather than just stamped. It made it come to life a little more. Whoops, missed one little corner there. Just going to go ahead and set this aside and cover up my embossing powder because I will make a mess with that if I don't get it all covered up. There we go. All right, the next thing we're going to need is the die that I was talking about that cuts out the center here. Now that it's cooled a little bit, I'm going to wipe off some of that anti-static powder. And let's see here. Just going to line that up inside. And we'll tape that down. I'm going to go ahead and just send this through my die machine real quickly. And I have gone ahead and cut down my pattern paper to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, now to get our brick wall so that we're able to use it on our card, we're going to have to fussy cut around the outer edges. And it's very fast and easy to do. We're just going to quickly just cut around. And I just leave a little bit of a red edge around everything, but it's not hard at all. You don't have to be super exact for our purposes today. I'm going to go a little bit closer there. So I wanted to do this with you just so you can see how, you know, that brick wall is pretty cool once it's all cut out there. All right, so that is what we're going to need for that. Now, before this is completely ready, can you hear that awful banging noise? I wonder if you can hear it. Do tell me in the chat if you can hear it. Hello, Kathy. How are you today? If you could hear that, my husband's making lunch downstairs. And I think he's making tenderloins, and that's him using the meat pounder. So I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it like rattled the ceiling here. So, all right, I'm going to take some Distress Oxide in the black soot, and I'm going to go around the edges of my brick wall, just bringing it in a little bit, giving some shadow on the outside edge of my brick wall. And I just felt like that kind of helped it blend into my black background here and gave it a little bit of dimension. There we go. All right. So to get this exactly how we want it, I've got a couple pieces of tape here. It's all ready to go. You want to have that ready to go because once we position this. Now I want to position this in such a way that I have room for my sentiment down here across the bottom. So I'm not going to put it exactly in the middle. I'm going to raise it up just a bit. Then I'm going to make sure I've got it kind of centered how I would like it. Now I'm going to put my piece, and I like to slide it underneath. Sorry, it's very slippery paper. But we get that slid underneath and then position it again there. Okay, that's about right. Now I'm just going to lift up this edge and tape it on this side. And then tape it on this side. And the reason I like to do it that way is because if you eyeball it and put this down, you might end up with your brick wall kind of crooked like this. Because if you get this on there in the wrong way, you know, you want, when you put your brick wall on at the end, you want it to look like this, not skewed like that. Does that make sense? So I found it helped to really kind of test it, make sure you had it the way you wanted it before you cut that center out. Seems like a simple thing, but if you're like me, you can easily just kind of make that mistake. If you're not thinking about that. And I didn't this time, even on my first one. I remembered to do that, but I was like, I could very easily see myself doing that and getting my brick wall on there crooked. Okay, the next thing about this is we're going to add foam on the back side. So let's go ahead, and for this card I decided to use black foam. I've got quite a bit of it here. There we go. And okay. I dropped my black foam roll. I was like, it blended into my floor. Okay, we're gonna get some more. And the foam is pretty important. This is a thick foam, as you can see there. All right, I'm also going to add a piece of foam on the outer sides of my brick wall. I'm not going to do the top and bottom, just the two sides. Okay? There we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my card base. Here it is. Another thing we're going to need is a piece of just yellow cardstock, and that's just to put behind our brick wall, or our base piece, so that we don't have, you know, we don't want it to be just white. And if you didn't have yellow cardstock, you could ink blend a color back there, and I just went with yellow because it kind of coordinated with Superman. But like if you decided to do Batman or one of the other superheroes, you could adjust the color palette to kind of match whatever superhero that you go for. But I did a couple things on this card that I think stepped it up a notch from other superhero cards, and I'll show you that as we get to it. All right. Go ahead. So I think my husband is done pounding the tenderloin, so that's good. He usually tries to be real quiet when I'm recording or when I'm live, and I'm sure he didn't realize how loud that was. All right, so the thicker part is towards the bottom. Let's see if I can get this on there somewhat straight. Pretty good. All right, and now I'm going to add some glue right here on the bottom and right here on the top. Whoops, there we go. This one nail's too short to pull the paper off. Right, now we're going to put that down like that, and I'm going to let that brick wall be up on the edges, and I'm going to hold that glue down till it adheres right there. And we've got a very cool exploding effect going on there with our brick wall. All right, So I've gone ahead and I've colored up my Superman, and I stamped my greeting. And I stamped my greeting with Have a on one end and then Halloween on the other. And you could put birthday, retirement, really any word that you wanted. And we're going to glue the word super on there at an angle once we get this matted on our yellow, which hopefully, yeah. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and trim that off. You could use a paper cutter, but I'm just going to freehand it here. There we go. And now I'm going to glue on my super. Bit of an angle. All right. Go ahead and put my, hopefully well, that's pretty good. All right, and we're going to add this right along the bottom. Have a super Halloween. Now, for our Superman, this is where I did something a little different. To really make him look like he's popping, you know, charging out, I'm going to double stack that thick dimensional foam on the back of his head. Piece. Let me cut that down. It's a little too big. All right, so I'm just going to put a square there on his head, and then I'm going to put a second piece right on top of that. There we go. Now I'm going to add glue to his feet and leg just right down here. And the rest of him I'm going to leave up. So now I'm just going to slide his feet down in there, and then right there on that brick wall where we glued it down, I'm going to attach that foam. So we've got 3 layers of foam and a double layer on his head. So this in person is a very dimensional card. I'll kind of hold it like this, you can see. But it would very easily just, I mean, you can mash it down in an envelope and it's going to pop right back up when you open it up. So it's a really fun dimensional card. And I think any fellow would enjoy getting one of these. All right, so there you go. If you can see some uses in your craft room for this fun, super young stamp set and die set, I have them linked below the video. And I hope you enjoyed this dimensional Halloween card. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day. Go ahead, you can give that video a thumbs up, and if you'd like, go ahead and subscribe and all that fun stuff here on YouTube. And I look forward to crafting with you again next week. Have a great day. Bye-bye.